Do you agree with Michelle that right now, probably in the near term, Iran is a bigger threat than China?
Well, yeah, it's definitely, like she said, she brilliantly said, it's not priced in. I mean, especially, well, in some ways it is. In other words, it's not fully priced in. Brent compared to, the price of oil in Brent compared to U.S. oil equities has been held up extremely well. So something's holding it up there, and it's Venezuela and Iran, but it's not fully priced in. But China, at the end of the day, it all comes down to the U.S. needs a deal. The president's looking at an election 18 months away. China is so levered, and the economy's been seeping back toward recession. So both sides really have to do a deal sometime in the next 2 weeks.
All right, so last night, Jim Cramer, you've heard of him. Jim Cramer put out a tweet last night saying, let's be sure the increase in tariffs is indeed going to come because Donald Trump likes to have that extra money. He's not putting a political statement on it. Jim was simply saying he believes that those higher tariffs, 10 to 25% on $200 billion, are likely to happen as of 12:01 a.m. on Friday morning. Jim has been nervous about the equity markets. Obviously, yesterday showed that this market is jittery. Do you believe that we will see those higher tariffs after all, Larry?
Yes, I think he's right. We will see them, but we'll see them for probably a week or two. In other words, they'll go on.
A timeout, if you will.
Yeah, essentially, if you remember, toward the end of the Mexico-Canada NAFTA agreement, Trump put out a couple of very nasty tweets toward Mexico and Canada, and then 4 days later, there was a deal. So these tweets, this is just pressure toward the end. You'll probably get a deal within 2 weeks. Bob Lighthizer is a Hall of Fame negotiator in trade. He really has the president's ear right now. But at the end of the day, Mr. Kudlow and Mr. Mnuchin, they're more centrists. In the end, I think they'll win. But right now, President Trump's siding with Mr. Lighthizer.
Do we sit right now? Dow futures are down about 100 points, so it's a theoretical exercise right now, Larry. But if we get another market rally on what's been a red-hot year, do we sell into the rally?
Well, I think U.S. equities, too many investors in the world are hiding out in U.S. equities. There are markets in the world like Brazil. There are markets in the world, European equities that are extremely cheap relative to the U.S. So we believe that you want to be in emerging markets. You want to be lightening up on U.S. equities here because too many investors are just hiding out in the U.S.
What do you think right now is the most overpriced asset in the world? I'm putting you on the spot and on the clock, Larry.
I would think high-end artwork overall. New York real estate and Manhattan in some spots is the highest price. And then high-end real estate in Asia.
But isn't that, okay, says the man who lives in Manhattan, by the way. So, but here, you know what's amazing about that statement? Is that why are these billionaires like Ken Griffin buying $200 billion condominiums in New York? Because the rich, to your point, are finding better values outside of the equity market. Should we be? Maybe not at that level, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. You want to look at other areas. I mean, a lot of people look at gold, silver. Over the next couple of years, I think as you head toward the 2020 election, President Trump desperately needs a weaker dollar. Every time the dollar has strengthened, if the global economy weakens, it weakens the U.S. 40% of U.S. earnings are outside the United States. And then the manufacturing base in the United States. Manufacturing base in the United States gets really hurt by a stronger dollar. So net, you get a weaker dollar over the next 18 months heading toward the election. That's going to help your gold names.